coming to you with some exciting news, some things that we've been talking and praying about together as a staff, as leadership team, and we wanted to get to you on what we're going to do together as a church on our path back to normal. And there's a lot of things flying around. This whole year has been just a flood of information, hard sometimes to keep up with. So if you are completely unplugged from what's happening, we do not blame you at all, because it's a lot, and you never know what you're listening to, whether you can really independently check that and trust that, or depending on how your personal sensitivities are, you may or may not agree with it anyway. So it's hard to sort through all that stuff. So, but what we wanted to give you was what we are going to do and kind of the plan that we have come to as a leadership team for coming back to normal. And that comes in a context that I think is really important for us to mention here, which is that, first of all, the numbers in our country have been declining steadily really all year. There was a little hump there in March and early April, but since for the last month it's been declining. But in New Jersey, it has been the fastest decline in the nation, the steepest decline of COVID cases in the nation. 75% less cases now than 2 weeks ago in the state of New Jersey. So that, plus the fact that we have a significant number of New Jerseyans vaccinated and more getting vaccinated every day, those two things hand in hand tell us that we are on the way out of the pandemic proper and back and needing to find a way back to normal, to be normal. In addition, just today, the CDC released new guidelines that removed the recommendation for masking for vaccinated people both outdoors and indoors, which is huge in the context of the past year. That vaccinated people now doesn't mean that they've overridden state governments and things, but the CDC saying vaccinated people no longer need to wear a mask indoors is a really, really big thing. And on top of that, we are at a point, we believe, just common sense wise or just in our opinion, that anyone who would like to get vaccinated is able to or should be pretty easily ready to get vaccinated in the state of New Jersey. So with all that as context, we said, okay, it is time now for us to make some adjustments to directions and instructions we've been living with as a church for the past year. So we have some new ideas about things that we're going to ask you to do.
Yeah, so all of that is great news, positive directions. We're excited. We've been praying in that direction for a while, and we're starting to see some movement. So we're excited about that. Our instructions for kind of the way we were hoping for things to look here have been the same since we were allowed to open up in June of last year. So for the next 2 weeks, they will remain what they have been. Our instructions to all of you are to be wearing a mask while inside the church for the entire time you're inside the church on a Sunday morning. We are going to keep that until May 30th. And for some of you, that might feel like, why are we waiting so long? For some, it might be like, that's only 2 weeks away. That's way too fast. Some of you might both be right, in fact. But that is the direction that we're going to move. Give us some time to deal with that mentally and to prepare for that as well. As well, on that Sunday, May 30th, we will stop with the temperature checks for our children's classes as they come in. As we've seen, schools have stopped doing that. Other institutions have stopped doing that. So those are the two kind of big moves that are happening on May 30th. We will be asking you, when you come with your mask on 30th, as you're moving around, to continue to wear it. That will be the new rule or instruction on the 30th. Restaurant style, if you will. If you've been out to eat, you know that as you're moving around, you're to wear your mask, and then once you're seated, you can remove it. So that's what we're going to ask of all of you to do as of May 30th, with the idea that maybe even sooner now with the CDC guideline of vaccinated people don't have to wear their mask, maybe sooner than we even thought, but moving in that direction of at some point in the near future, not asking anyone to wear a mask. So we're moving in that direction. We don't want to just jump into that, whether that's in 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. We want to ease all of us back into that. And so with that in mind, again, May 30th, that's the Sunday where we're kind of adopting that restaurant style masking instruction, as well as easing back on the temperature checks. And then looking ahead, we don't have like firm dates of when other things will be happening, but we do plan probably in the month of June to add the chairs that we've removed back into the auditorium, knowing that summer months, the attendance tends to be a little light, and we haven't been back at the 200, 220, 30 people in the auditorium anyway. So adding those chairs, we'll still have space. If you feel more comfortable being further away from people, you'll still have that space. But kind of gearing back up for, as the summer months wane and we head back into the fall and capacity limits, we're already seeing that they're going to be lifted, that we are able to hold more people as they come back. And so we are excited about these changes. We do recognize that many of you, again, are probably like, why has it taken this long? Others are still hesitant to adapt to the changes that are happening. And so we know that it's not just a policy issue that, well, this is what our church has told us to do, or this is what the CDC has told us to do, and so we'll do it. We know that there are deeper things at play. And so, Mark, I think you want to address some of those.
Yeah, I think that in what we're saying is we're getting back to that ability for everybody to decide for themselves what they're going to do. So we're not saying that you have to come in without a mask over the summer months or forever or whenever. You can come in how you want to. Up till this point, we've put some instructions on. We're rolling back to that. That is, to us, really an indication that we are trying to get back to normal hope, like what we are as a church normally. And that's hard because we've been really topsy-turvy for so long. And I think a lot of internal things have happened to us in that, reading people's comments and hearing discussions and trying to figure it out on our own. So this may be a moment where we're trying to say, let's set this direction back towards normal. And for some reason that is difficult for you. I want to say two things to you. First of all, this. If you have been one of the people that have been on the sidelines waiting for well, they still have restrictions, well, they're still wearing masks, well, it's still kind of dangerous, better safe than sorry, I'm going to wait till someone says, okay, you need to come back. We're saying to you, now's the time. We are moving out of the need for restrictions, and we are kind of doing that deliberately, slowly at a pace, but we're doing it deliberately because we need to go forward. Many of us would not be comfortable with it, but we're going to do it anyway because we think it's what we need to do for us to come together as a church. Really, we're trying to get out of the discussion of distancing and masking and coronavirus and all that stuff and get back to being hope, to being the church that we are, the people that we are. That we. The other part I want to say is this. Over the past year, you may have developed in your soul some harsh feelings towards one another, towards other people in your church, towards Dave or myself or anything, because there's been so much uncertainty and so much disagreement and so much harshness, so much like finality in statements of if you don't this, then you are, fill in the blank. If that's you, let's recognize that this is the moment to deal with that. Because we cannot allow the enemy to use something like a virus and a pandemic and people's policy decisions and a church's instructions on it to divert and derail our spiritual well-being, which we know that harboring something against someone is detrimental to my spiritual well-being. But secondly, to damage the cause of Christ and the purpose for which we exist. So, if you have some of those feelings inside of you, we've been able to kind of stay distant and just harbor them and nurture them and let them grow. They've got to go. We've got to deal with them. If you need help, we're here. Your elders are here. Your staff is here. We want to help you get forward and through that. Some of it's just going to be, you have to recognize the need for grace, your own need for grace, and your need to pour grace out on other people. So let's do that, because that's the core of what it has always meant to be hope.